So day 2 of the Workbench project, not very exciting so far. I'm just wiping down all 36 square feet of it. And I'm doing that with a dampened paper towel because it's stain day, hooray! Gotta stain it. Alright, now, the Workbench has been entirely washed. It's a completely clean surface, and I am ready to stain it. Now, Nerf recommended this. This is Varathane stain and poly, so he thinks that it's a really good blend, especially for somebody like me with less experience than somebody like him. Well, so I read the jar, which is, by the way, your step 1 for any time you're using a material you're unfamiliar with, and I did a quick stain of just 1 coat on this piece of kind of scrap that we had done some edge work on, so I could really get a feel for how the stain was going to affect multiple things. And that color is awesome, but it's not quite rich enough for what I want to go for. That said, I really do like this black cherry semi-gloss finish. So now that this is dry and I let it dry overnight, I can tell you that I'm probably going to come over and see what 2 coats look like on this, and then if I'm satisfied with what 2 coats look like, and again back to reading the jar, you can see, where is it? There's a surface area on the jar that it tells you what it'll give you. It says that it'll give you approximately 100 to 125 square feet, which means that if I wanted to, I could do this space 3 times over. So I'm gonna do it at least twice. But the other thing that you need to know about any stain like this is that it is toxic, noxious stuff. So this is currently a closed, non-ventilated area, which means that we have to completely change the game before we even want to consider starting. So while this dries, we're going to take these up and open up the screened-in door. And I think that that'll be really good. And then we're probably going to put a fan over here so that we can really just blow air all the way out and we don't have to worry about any of that. And then most importantly, we're gonna get out of here. As soon as we're done putting the first coat on, and we'll probably do it in 3 separate stages of like stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3. We're just not gonna be around while it kind of sets. Okay, so last video before we start, the linoleum back here is actually just to protect the wall that I painted. I couldn't find like a drop cloth and I didn't want to put holes in the wall. Oh man, it was standing up a second ago. Darn, I'll have to fix that. So then we have, this is what 2 coats looks like. I'm pretty happy with that. Maybe we'll go for 3, but we're definitely gonna do 2, which means that we can start. And then I've laid out some drop cloth that I had left over from painting and then some packing paper for the length of this, just so that now I am super duper comfortable staining it. All we have left to do is turn on this fan and position it correctly, hold our breath, and open up these windows and that door, and then we should be good to go. Well, it's a start. Woohoo! All right, so there's roughly 1.5 coats on this. I say 1.5 because the way that I paint, there's a lot of overlap. So it could be 1, it could be 1.5. I am clearly not the greatest at this, especially like since this is where I started at some of the less ideal. I got better as I went along, but I'm very, very excited to get the aluminum on the siding here, which will really tie it together. You will notice that it still looks like plywood because I didn't paint this. I thought about doing it over here and then I just stopped because I was like, what's the point if we're gonna cover it with super cool silver metal? So that's where that's at. The Draculina is gonna come in and paint the legs of the Workbench, but that's something that we can wait honestly forever for, because the top is what matters to me, especially for videos, and I'm so happy with it. I think it looks really, really great. The stain made just a world of difference. So I guess I said YOLO and put on a 2nd coat of my 1.5 coat style paint all the way down the Workbench. Now this 2nd 1.5 coat is kind of wet over here still, but I wanted to say one thing that I discovered after completing it, because at this point I'm at either 2 coats or 3 coats depending upon how you would measure my painting style, but this is the brush that I used, and while there's still a little bit of stain kind of dried onto the bottom, I thought that something that inherently was designed to stain would stain things. And and I was amazed. But if you clean up immediately after you do your stain, as long as you're using, again, this particular brand, I don't know if you can read it anymore, you can save your brush and use it for future projects. These are synthetic fibers. We got synthetic fibers intentionally because we figured they would absorb less, and absorb less they did.